This video is plainly evidence of that, there is no question. But just what criminality it is evidence of can only ultimately be decided by a court having jurisdiction to weigh and assess it.
That's RCMP Commissioner Bob Paulson. He shared a video recorded by Michael Zehaf-Bibeau before he stormed Parliament. So the shooter recorded it with his cell phone in his car moments before he shot and killed Corporal Nathan Cirillo and then ran onto Parliament Hill. In the video, Bibeau said those actions were in retaliation for Canadian military involvement in Iraq and in Afghanistan. With more on that video and also a look at the decision to release it today, I'm joined by Ray Boisvert. He's the former Assistant Director of Intelligence for CSIS, and he joins me by Skype in Toronto. Ray, always a pleasure to have your thoughts on this program. Let me begin with your reaction to the video. You saw it. What did you think?
Well, no real major surprises. It was kind of expected in terms of the content. We have a young man who we knew from his actions and some of the things that have been said about his action over the last few months was deeply radicalized, deeply troubled, had a very interesting background in terms of having personal challenges from mental health to drugs, as it's alleged, and that he was linked to a foreign cause, essentially, this political or politicized religious issue that's built around the Al-Qaeda narrative and now ISIL or ISIS in Iraq and Syria. So him pledging allegiance to that, and indirectly in a sense that he's coming to the cause, coming to the defense of the faithful, fits into a narrative I've seen time and time again. So no real shock, nothing all that innovative. I don't think we know that much more about his motivations or why he eventually decided to do what he did. And I believe in somewhat of an improvised way.
I'm going to assume that security experts and police look at this video different from me. I am, a citizen, a civilian. I see a video, I get a little afraid by it. You look at it, and as RCMP Commissioner Bob Paulson suggested, he sees a man who is confident, who is lucid. Do you find any other clues in that video?
I found he's very much a person who's let himself be guided by his fate, and almost like there's a moment that he looks up and near the end of the video, and you can see that he's at peace because he knows what he's about to do. I think at that point, and there's a very high likelihood he'll lose his life. So I do think he's quite composed as well. I'd have to agree. That's some things you look for. So he was really in his own mind. He was in the hands of Allah, and he was doing God's work. Unfortunately, as we all know, Allah, God, or any other figure that people subscribe to do not believe that violence is a legitimate outcome for anything. And of course, he's fallen prey to that perverse message.
How concerned are you that this video was edited? We heard the commissioner say 13 seconds off the top, 5 off the bottom, edited out.
Well, I have to say, as others have said, including opposition parliamentarians, that we have to trust in Commissioner Paulson's judgment on this. I do believe, and that's one thing I did suspect might happen, is that there'll be some parts of that video that'll still be very relevant for an ongoing investigation. And we've seen other cases like that over the years, so whether it's a kidnapping or it's a case of somebody who's been charged with serious offense and there's something that's going to be before the courts. There's a number of rules of engagement that the Commissioner alluded to during his presentation this morning in front of Parliament. So I think we just have to respect that for now. But we do have a commitment that they will release it, and I have no doubts that we will see it in due course.
Let me ask you another question that might be a little more difficult, perhaps. I guess I don't mean to point a finger of blame, but it has been months. The commissioner told us there were more than 130 investigators and staff working on this case, that there were more than 400 people interviewed. Why no charges? If there are so many people involved in this case, there are so many people who have been interviewed, so many man-hours, if you will, put on this case. Why are we not seeing anything come of it?
Well, we've seen some similar situations. Think of the Vancouver riots going back a few years ago after a hockey game. And there was terabytes of video data showing people actually committing criminal acts. And then, of course, we have the Air India investigation. We have several other types of investigations that involve painstaking work, interviews, going through data. So I've seen lag times of months between the time the police intend to move forward with charges and the time they actually can. Having said all that, though, I'm not convinced that there's anything in the video or anything else that the shooter had done that might bring other charges. He may have been influenced by others. He may have been in conversation with others, but I'll be very surprised, and I'm just guessing because I have no intimate knowledge of the case, but I may be rather surprised if there's somebody else charged in direct relevance to what he did up on the Hill on that day.
All right, certainly lots to talk about, lots to watch for, but I want to thank you for your input, sir. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Savannah.
That's security expert and former Assistant Director of Intelligence for CSIS, Ray Boisvert, joining me from Toronto.